Let's start, Brother Zubair.
Okay, Bismillah, walhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa ashabihi wa sallam. Jazakumullah khairan, and welcome everyone for joining. Special thanks and du'as for the team of I3, the Hive. Appreciate you guys bringing me on and giving me the opportunity to share and to learn with this amazing group of brothers and sisters here.
We had to go back to virtual, but I am so happy.
All right. Is someone trying to hijack my session there? Okay, let's begin. Bismillah. All right. So, I think I have a lot of questions and intriguing things as part of this presentation. We do have a sort of a limited time here just today, but inshallah, we can definitely follow up. And, this is, so that's why try to keep yourself, up on your feet so that you can think about the questions that are going to be coming up on the screen. At least think about it. If you are fast enough and you can, drop in a line and answer the question, that's fantastic. So, when many times people ask, hey, what are you up to? Right? Sometime, hopefully, we also ask these questions to ourselves. Hey, what am I up to in my life? What am I doing with my life? Right? Is there something that I'm excited to wake up tomorrow? Right? Or, I find it hard to get out of the bed. Right? So, other than the Fajr prayer, do I have a motivation to come, embrace the new day, embark something and be excited about my life because I'm working on something, right? So just something to think about. And many times people think, okay, I'll be excited by the things that I have, by the people that I have in my life. But most of the time, a long-lasting thing would be the mission that you have. So if you're on a mission, if there's something that you want to accomplish in different areas of your life, inshallah, that will really, excel the quality of your life. And you'll actually, look forward to the new day and you'll embrace the new day. You'll get up and be, on your feet. You'll take care of yourself to make sure that you are well prepared and conditioned to do whatever you're passionate about. So, if you don't really have something like that, if you don't have a passion, we will also share some of the ideas on what you can do in terms of, figuring out that passion, because that's actually also a very big question mark. Hey, I don't have anything that I'm passionate about. That's fine. Acknowledging it is also the first step. So as you acknowledge it, then you can go ahead and figure it out. So, one way of doing that is, putting down the three things that, that you feel someone should fix in this world, right? So some three big problems that are really top of your mind and you'd like someone to fix that. Okay. And then what you can do is obviously there's a common example like starvation, lack of Muslims in, leading technology or medicine, or people don't know about, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. People are so heedless about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Mosques are not doing enough, lazy, distracted Muslims, whatever, right? So anything that's top of your mind, right? That you would like to actually, that you're waiting for someone else to come and solve, perhaps that becomes your passion project. Now, you don't have to do everything on that, but then you can find the right people and that becomes, okay, I'm working on a starvation, right? I want to, feed people. Then your university, your connections, your volunteer work, everything becomes aligned to the problem that you're excited about. So just to take some examples, this is a video that I linked, earlier. This is one of our brothers, Brother Saqib. May Allah make it easy for him. He's blind, right? But this is a video that he did with Microsoft. It shows him, it shows his wife with hijab. Really good video about how he actually helped, in making life easier and technology more accessible for the people who have impaired vision, as opposed to just waiting for someone else to come and fix it. So that's just something I think is really inspiring story. I always like to share that. So please go ahead and watch it, inshallah. Myself as well, alhamdulillah, Allah has blessed me to went to U of T, did my bachelor's there, and then being able to work with several, top 100 companies, and, be also able to present at several security conferences. Me and, I forgot his name again, Dr. What's his name? Dr. Is it, anyways, I'm sure most of you guys know him. Is it Tyson? Or, okay. Come on, anybody? No? Anyway, so we spoke at the same.
Neil deGrasse?
There you go. Thank you. So we spoke at the same conference, and the point being that, alhamdulillah, Like even when I'm presenting, I didn't have to hide my identity. So the point being that you could wear your Muslim identity, you could be who you are, and still be able to excel in your profession, inshallah. Dr. Ike Ahmed from Toronto, like really amazing guy, lots of inventions and innovations, like a leading ophthalmologist or eye surgeon in glaucoma and so on and so forth. Really amazing, contribution from Muslims. Other folks, these are folks from the Bay Area, right? Originally from Pakistan. They have done massive exits in multi-million-dollar cybersecurity companies. Rihan is another one of them. And obviously, if you look at from the Deen angle, right, you have people like Dr. Bilal, right, who did not grew up as Muslim, right? They did not grow up as Muslim. They had to learn Arabic, from scratch, right? Just imagine learning a new language, new terminologies, new everything, and now becoming, leaders and leading scholars, in the Muslim world that people follow, and they're really leading a movement, if you will. Dr. Farhad, that you might know of, again, really massive impact, right? So, these are some of the examples. There are also other examples, right? So this is, again, the idea is to inspire ourselves, right? To look at what different people are doing. So I showed you some examples of tech. I showed you some examples of medicine. I showed you some examples of, working on religion. There are many other examples, right? So one of the interesting things, if you guys are not in the habit of, highly recommend to subscribe to podcasts, right? So podcasts, meaning the idea being, so forget the word podcast. Basically, these are interviews, right? So there is a person or a group, they're interviewing other people from different areas of life. So this gives you exposure of what others are doing, and that can give you an inspiration of, hey, that's a great problem for me to work on. And then you also see the struggle, the effort, the discipline that others took to be able to deliver and achieve what they were able to achieve. So there are some links here that gives you, Muslim-based podcasts, as well as, non-Muslim podcasts as well, that I highly recommend to kind of, tap into, just to have that sort of inspiration, inshallah. Okay, so that's lesson number one. Look at others to get inspiration. If you are struggling to find your passion, or if you're struggling to be determined and to work hard, because a lot of time we see the end result and we forget about all the effort and the struggles that went behind the scene. So these interviews help you see what happened behind the scenes and what struggles they had to do. Okay, now some of the things to look at when you look at these interviews, or you look at the life of other people, in terms of their commitment to reading and learning. What were they consuming? Were they on TikToks and Instagram and Snapchats or Reels or Shorts or what have you? Or were they actually learning meaningful stuff? Did they have mentors? Did they have teachers? Were they, reading books? Did they go for training? Were they afraid of experimenting? If you don't know the results, were they afraid of experimenting? Okay, or another way, did they have all the resources? Did they have all the answers that they needed, right? Or did they just say, hey, you know what, that's an interesting problem, but someone will come and do it. I don't have to do it, right? So things like that, right? Another thing is people also have this big problem is when I ask people, hey, what are you up to? And they're like, oh, I'm in university. So that's a mindset, right? You think that, okay, you know what, I'm in university, so I'm doing enough, right? So which means I don't have to think about anything extra. As long as I get good grades, I'm set. So just saying I'm in university really is not enough, right? Because two people can be in university and have a totally different university life or college life. They could have totally different learning experiences. They could have totally different experiments that they did, projects that they launched, or projects that they participated in, internships, volunteering, own projects, and so on and so forth. So that's just something to really keep in mind, that, okay, don't just say, oh, I'm in a school, I'm in high school, I'm in university, so I don't have to think about my life. Because that approach is as if you are on some sort of a conveyor belt, and the university or college will get you from point A to your dreams. It doesn't happen, right? So you have to proactively take charge of your life, and don't think, okay, I'm in high school, I don't have to think about anything else. It doesn't work like that if you really want to excel and achieve something. Okay, so the key idea is look, manage what you have really well. Okay, so whatever resources you have, what resources do we have? Can I see some names or some items that you have as your resources? What are some of the resources that you have? Come on. Internet, fantastic, right? Time, great. Life, okay, fantastic. So you have these resources, right? Now use them, understand, hey, these are all the powerful things that are, parent support, fantastic. Libraries, now you grow them, right? So you don't want to just be, just be stagnant. You have to grow. So if you have some knowledge, use that to learn more. Use your parent support to learn more. Use your library to learn more. Use your friends or connection to get some sort of volunteering or paid experience to again learn. So you're learning and building. Okay, so that's at a personal level. The third thing is to collaborate. Okay, find others that will join hands in the problem or the mission that you are on, because you don't have to do everything, right? So for example, I'm sure Brother Hassan here with the Hive team, there are many people behind the scenes who have made this workshop possible, right? So for you to be here, it's just maybe me and Hassan sharing the screen here, but there are many people, right? The marketing, the people who connected you, the people who took care of the registration, the email, the people who are admitting, so many different people, and otherwise it wouldn't be possible, or it would be really hard. So collaborate.
I just sorry, I wanted to make a comment. Is that yes, you hit the nail on our collaboration. Again, our team, like I'm not the best time management person. I'm not the best productive person at all times, but my team makes me accountable. It keeps me accountable. So a big key here is that when you're collaborating with people, not only you're gonna hold them accountable, they're gonna hold you accountable. So working as a group, working as a team is way better than doing something alone on yourself. So definitely chime into your group, make groups if you have to, and work together on a single initiative or goal.
Fantastic. Okay, so now obviously we are talking about, like, most people talk about time management, right? But it's not just like time. There are other things, because not like if you take a look at your day today, right? Let's say if you woke up at 6, right? It's already been 13 hours since the day started, right? So it's not every hour of your day was, equal, right? So there's nothing that, okay, I just have to manage time, but you also have to manage focus, right? How much focus you were during that hour, during that, 4 hours or what have you. And then, so that's your mental energy. And then the third thing is about your physical energy as well, right? So depending on the task that you have to do, you may require different amount of physical energy to be able to achieve that. So again, keep those things in mind as well, that, okay, it's not just like 1 hour, but it's a focused 1 hour with the right amount of energy. Okay, so coming back to, another idea here, okay? If I were to give you $1,700 every day, what would you do? Okay, let's take a minute here. It's 7:18 now. I want to take a minute and please just think about it. Be honest. What would you do if you have $1,700 every day until the day you die? People are shocked. No response. Good. All right, fantastic. So I think let me ask you a question, right? And let me know if I'm wrong. If you really had it, one of the things that you would really be thinking about is, hey, how do I invest? How do I use it? You wouldn't be like, okay, let me just leave it at the bank. It's like, okay, mashallah, I have now this consistent income, that's way beyond my expenses, inshallah. So now you have to really think about it. Okay, how do I, invest it? How do I create businesses out of it? How do I create education opportunities for others? How do I, help people who are in need, in terms of shelter or food and what have you. But there's going to be a lot of planning going on. It wouldn't be like random, right? Even if you want to donate, you'd have to figure out, okay, which charity am I going to donate to? Who are doing great work? What kind of insight would I have? How would I collaborate and partner with that charity, and so on and so forth, right? Okay, so here's the thing, guys. The reason I took 17 is, the day until the day you die, you have at least 17 hours a day. Okay, the reason I chose 1700 and 17 is because, let's say on average, if you're sleeping seven hours, right? So that's your rest time, your recovery time. You have 17 hours in your day where you are essentially awake. So subhanAllah, just look at it, right? So we think about it today or the next week, but we forget, let's say if we have 10 more years to live, or 20 or 30 or 40 or whatever it is 17 times that much. And we talked about this last time, when we were talking, in last week, when we were talking about just realizing that, okay, even if I have like, 40-hour work week, I still have a lot of time that's not, tied to my day job. So just something to think about, right? How rich you are. Allah is going to give us all this time. And how am I thinking? Am I really thinking about how to invest my time in a long-term way? Just like how I would think about if I had $1,700 coming in every day. And also from the hadith of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he told us that the son of Adam will not be dismissed from his Lord on the day of resurrection until he is questioned about 5 issues, right? His life and how he lived it, right? Some of you mentioned life as a resource. His youth, right? So that's going back to energy, right? So obviously a young person's life is not in general like, someone who is weak or elderly, okay? His wealth, how he earned it and how he spent it, and what he did with the knowledge that he acquired. Okay, so now, okay, so now that we are coming about, managing time, focus, and energy, right? And that's what this whole workshop is about. The question is, how do you know if you're managing it well, right? So if you don't have an end goal, you won't be able to, understand, am I managing it well or not? Like, what does it mean to manage time? Okay, does it mean that, okay, I know where my time is going? Or am I achieving what I want to achieve? I have a good balance. What does it mean? So, the end result, defining that end result is super important. And that's what the worksheets will help you do, because otherwise you won't have motivation to manage your time, right? So if you recall, the first thing that we talked about earlier was like, hey, what are you up to? What are you passionate about? So if you're not passionate about something, someone who's passionate, like when you have exams, you automatically sleep less in general, I hope, right? Or hopefully you're not procrastinating and not wasting as much time because you have a goal. Hey, I only have 2 days or 3 days or maybe 1 day, and that's it. And that's going to determine my grade and so on and so forth. Okay, so we have these, 5 pillars, which kind of turn around in terms of time management or life management, if you will, to live a more passionate, meaningful, successful life. So the first pillar is clarity. Okay, and we have Islamic concept, which is intention, the niyyah. What do I really want? Okay, and it has to, when I say clear, it has to be really clear. So, okay, you could say, okay, well, I want Jannah. Okay, great. Alhamdulillah, may Allah really make us focus on that. But what is your path to Jannah, right? What route are you choosing, right? So this workshop, inshallah, is part of us getting to Jannah, right? The reason is that, okay, how do I use my life in a more productive way so that it benefits me and I benefit other people? I make more use of my life, and it helps me enter Jannah and reach higher levels. So you want to have that extra layer of clarity, not just be vague, okay, I want Jannah, but how, right? So you want to have your own path, your own missions, your own objectives as well. Okay, so the first thing I would like to do, and I know we are going fast and there's a lot of different ideas that are coming in. Imagine if you were to create a corporation or a business name, what would it be? Can I have like few names, like, Hive is one name, right? That's a project name, a team name. Can I have a few other names? Trying to steal some cool names. No names? Okay.
I don't know, rocket ship.
Rocket ship. Fantastic. Good. Okay. So you need to think about your, and that kind of goes, okay, when you think about team, right? Or a company or a project, you think basically beyond your own self, right? So that's why, thinking about a team name is important, right? And that gives you that sort of like, a structure to think about it. You can have other people joining on that effort and what have you. And as Hassan mentioned about accountability and so on and so forth. Okay, so now you have a team name. Okay, will come in handy in a bit. Now think about like different areas of your life, right? So I'm sure some of you have seen that, like, life pie chart, right? With different slices of life. Typically you may have something like your own private worship, right? You remembering Allah, praying, doing your dhikr, doing your dua, doing your salah, qiyam, reading Quran, stuff that relatively is private. Yes, there may be some public component to it, like you going to masjid or you going to a class. But even on top of that, I would highly recommend having that private time as well. Maybe you have a slice where you say, okay, I want to review and keep learning my deen as well. I may want to do like spreading the deen. You may have a cycle about, slice about family, right? What am I doing for my parents, my siblings, and so on and so forth, my health, my finances, and my contribution to the society. So these could be some examples of different areas. Again, be honest with yourself, pick something that's important to you. because that's going to really, what's going to really matter and drive you. Okay. And these are the stuff that you will do in the worksheet. So you'll have your company name, your project name, or your own, corporation name, if you will, or nonprofit name or whatever. And then you'll put the areas that are important to you. And I would say, okay, define for each area, define a purpose. Okay. Define a purpose that's really exciting and meaningful to you. What is the purpose? Okay. And then define short and long-term success metrics. So, let's say, 3 months down the road, what would success look like? What needs to happen for you to feel that, alhamdulillah, you know what, that's good progress. Okay, what needs to happen in a year for you to feel that that's good progress? Okay, so here are examples. So, so remember, there's two things: purpose and your results. Okay, so here are some examples. Okay, the purpose is get closer and closer to Allah. Okay, now the approach, the path could be very, very different, right? You could say, okay, you know what, I want to do that by, working on technology and making it safe while keeping my identity as a Muslim. Okay, you want to say, okay, I want to, empower and give opportunity to my spouse to do certain things related to dawah, right? So I'll take care of some other stuff from the household and what have you, and empower my spouse to do certain things. Okay, I want to do, facilitate excellence via workshops, right? So that's what I'm doing right now. I want to help others, inshallah, excel. And my approach to that is to work on the workshops, right? To develop workshops, to develop content. Now, obviously, I may have developed the content and the idea, and then someone helped me with the slides, and then Hassan and the team helped me with reaching out to you, right? So it's, again, you have to think about the purpose. The purpose is to get closer to Allah. How? Okay, let's say to run a workshop, right? Or regularly run workshops, or regularly coach people, for example. Or, okay, I want to do dawah, right? And but what I'm trying to do is, look, every action or every mission I have as so look at that as right, as so what role am I playing? Okay, so just to begin, working back on that example of running workshop, what role am I playing? I'm playing the role of a coach or the role of a trainer. And that's also very important, which means I realize, hey, okay, if I'm going to do this, who's going to do the other work? So that's why you need to participate and see, okay, hey, Hassan, do you have this mission? Fantastic. Let's work together. I'll do this, you do that, let the sister do this. And that's how you get things together. So you need to also think about what role you will be playing in that project.
Sorry, I just wanted to take a second to say something, is that the purpose is really important. Just saying, I want to be better at time management, or I want to have good productivity. Cool. It's a very vague statement. It doesn't really define anything. However, if you put it into perspective and say, my purpose is to get better at time management, and what are the steps that you're going to take? Well, I'm going to track my time. I'm going to make sure I have time blocks for certain activities. I'm going to make sure that I take, I discipline myself in terms of time. I make sure that I'm regularly committing to habits, and there's consistency in my schedule. So that's the point I think that we should all take away, is have a purpose. Don't just mindlessly say I want to do something just for the sake of it, but have a purpose, have some actionable steps behind it. That way you can really break it down and do those step by step to achieving your goal.
Great. Okay. So if you recall, so look, what I'm saying is defining two things, right? What is the mission and what role would you be playing in that mission? Okay. Now, secondly, you also need to, some of you may know of the SWOT analysis, right? The strengths, weaknesses, opportunities. Now here, what I'm asking you to do is think about the strengths that you have. Okay, what strengths do you have that will help you, serve the role and help with the project? And also look at acknowledge the challenges. Okay, because sometimes you may have challenges, sometimes it may be physical, sometimes it may be biological, sometimes it may be, other psychological, whatever it is, acknowledge it so that, okay, yes, even though I have those challenges, I will still, strive for it. I'll manage my challenges and continue. Whenever a challenge distracts me, and let's say, for migraine, okay, so my morning plan could not happen, but I'll pick up in the afternoon, right? Because once you've accepted that challenge, it wouldn't be like, oh, because I have migraine now, I need to, scratch off the whole day. Maybe you just need to scratch off the few hours and then, get back onto the goal or the passion that you had. Okay. So now, now that we've talked about that clarity, right? So right now we only worked on clarity, and that's what you'll be working on in that worksheet, which is to define your mission and define your role in that mission. Okay. Now, after that, you have four more pillars that we want to discuss. The first pillar was clarity and intention. Now, the second pillar is mindset, third is ideas and strategy, and the fourth is execution. And then there is a fifth pillar that's going to come in later. So question here is, can anybody tell me the Islamic concept related to mindset or ideas and strategy and or execution? Going once, twice, thrice. Let's see if we can see any name, any terminology. Yeah, go ahead, put it in the chat, please, inshallah. All right, good. So mindset is what we call, faith, the values, right? Your iman. How do you, perceive things? What do you think of failure, if you want to use that word? Okay, ideas and strategies is what Islamic principle would call like consultation, right? وَأَمْرُهُمْ شُورَى بَيْنَهُمْ, right? So seeking consultation, وَشَاوِرْهُمْ فِي الْأَمْرِ, right? Seek consultation. Another thing is seeking knowledge, right? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلَ الذِّكْرِ, ask the people of knowledge, right? So that's part of what we'll discuss under ideas and strategy. And then the last thing, another thing that's also part of Islam is nasiha, right? Advising each other. So these are all, brainstorming ideas, brainstorming strategy, thinking about a strategy on how you will achieve what you're trying to achieve, and execution, obviously, right? Two things, amal, right? Right? So the importance of action. And when you're doing action, you need another thing, which is very, very important, and that is sabr. And we'll talk about it when we but hopefully that kind of helps you understand a bit where we're coming from. The last pillar is also very, very important. You will obviously not see that pillar mentioned in a lot of self-help books because that is related to divine assistance, right? You realizing that, look, my efforts are only going to go a certain amount, certain measure, certain amount of distance, but I need Allah's assistance for real blessing, for real impact. Okay, so a lot of these concepts that I have, you'll see that I have a separate, animated video on that topic. So if anybody wants to go and dig into that topic, so for example, on divine assistance, I have an animated video. It talks about, is it really about who you know, right? And that helps you kind of connect it down to divine assistance. So you can, for example, click on that link and then you'll be able to see that. So these are the four pillars that we'll quickly talk about, inshallah, in the next 10 to 15 minutes, and that will give you some extra support in terms of achieving your goals. So first thing about mindset, right? And this is really important to understand, okay, what is this world about? So this world is not a place of luxury. It's like an airport. You're on transit, you will meet people, you'll do some transactions, but this is a temporary place. I have to move on. When my flight is called, when say, hey, it's time for you to board your flight, which is the angel of death coming, boom, you have to go. Okay, so that's really important to really, really realize that, look, I'm only here temporarily and my flight will get called maybe tomorrow, maybe in 10 years, maybe in next year, who knows? And then that's it, that's your flight. From an external perspective, this is what the people will see. But internally, it could be a business class or it could be really miserable, right? We all know about the life of the grave, right? It could be great or it could be miserable. And then this is your final destination, right? This is hopefully helping you to represent your final destination, which is, paradise, right? Where you don't have to work. That's your permanent residence. That's your permanent place if you make it to paradise. Or alternatively, the other extreme is hellfire. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us, right? So this is keeping death in mind. There are lots of important verses, right? That goes on the mindset topic, which is, look, whoever fears Allah, Allah will make a way out of him. So that's a mindset, right? Am I keeping my duty to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or not? And it says that, look, whoever relies upon Allah, Allah will provide him. Do I really rely upon Allah? And it says Allah will provide him from ways that he did not even think of. And we talked a bit about that. A lot of you hopefully have also experienced that you may have, gone from point A to point B let's say point A to point C without figuring out what that point B would be. You may have thought point B would be like this, but Allah makes things happen, subhanAllah, in amazing ways that you could not even plan for, and you see yourself on point C. or even point D, which is much better than what you planned for, which was point C.
Sorry, Zubair, I just wanted to take a moment. Does anyone have any questions at this point? Any concerns, comments they want to have? Anyone learned something similar to it at a, not business conference, anything like that in their life that kind of shows them the strategy that we're going through? They'll be able to utilize it. Okay, awesome. Let's continue.
Okay. All right. So now I'm going to do a quick distraction here, right? So remember, you chose a name for the company. I want you to, I'll give you one resource, right? That will be your first employee, your first intern. That's going to be your full-time employee. Let's say if the Hive were to fund it for free, you have free employee. What would you name that employee? You can choose to name the employee as well. So please pick a name for your employee number one, your first employee, your principal person, your early joiner in your project. What would you name them? Come on, you can name Hassan. All right. Okay, so your first employee. So now remember when we talked about earlier that, hey, if I'm going to give you $1,700 every day, you're like, okay, well, I need to figure out, I'm going to invest it, right? Maybe I'll buy some books, I'll buy some training, I'll put some in charity, then I have to figure out which charity to give my money to, then I'll put something in investment to figure out, okay, which investment do I want to invest in, which is halal, which is really growing, and so on and so forth. Okay, now I'm giving you a full human being that's going to work for you full time. You also have to think about him or her, right? What goals will you assign him or her, right? Obviously, you have to invest in the employees' development as well, so they also become better and better in the function that you want them to do. So the question would be, what routines would you like to have for them? What goals would you like to achieve for them to achieve in the next 3 months to help you achieve your goal? Right? So this is just something that I would like you to work on that worksheet, to think about as a manager, as a leader, what tasks, what inspiration, what plan would you give your employee, inshallah. Okay, so would you like to meet your employee before we move on? Okay, let's do that. So I'm gonna send you you'll see a picture of him or her on the phone. Are you ready? Okay, can I have everybody open the camera app, please? Please open your camera app if you can. And put it in selfie mode and take a look at your first employee. Hopefully everybody got that. Did you all meet your first employee? It was you, right? So that's your first employee. The first person that you need to manage is yourself. You can't lead others until you lead yourself. And that's a really important thing. People are like, oh yeah, I want to be a leader, I'm going to lead other people. Okay, well, how are you leading yourself? If you can't manage yourself, you can't manage your own distraction, you can't manage your own discipline, it will really be hard for you to manage other people. So that's another thing. You are your first employee. You are the one who should believe in the project first and foremost before anybody else can believe in that.
Sorry, I just wanted to make a quick comment here again. Writing things down. So brother Zubair, if you can go up to the slide where you said that, write the name of the employee and the habits.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is key. So I want everyone, including myself, I want everyone to either write it on paper or make a document and write 3 key goals for next 3 months. Have your habits and have your routines written down and keep yourself accountable for that. Actually, brother Zubair, maybe you might be answer this. My brother asked that, how do you keep yourself accountable? So what's your response to that?
Okay, it's gonna come in real soon. So just give me a few minutes.
Okay, sounds good.
And we'll get there, inshallah. Actually, so Hassan, have they booked like 7 to 9 for this workshop or 1 hour?
It's 1 hour, but we can go over time. Yeah, we have time.
Right. So what I was going to suggest, so I have obviously a hard stop like 5 before 8. But if people are around, maybe you can facilitate for them to actually go through the worksheet where they will actually be like, so it will be like a more of like just facilitating whoever wants to hang out and then complete the worksheet if you and other people are interested, inshallah. But we'll go to the next pillars and then that will also cover the accountability part as well, inshallah. Okay, so we just met your first employee. Okay, so we have talked about two things: clarity, right? Then we talked about your first employee and the concept of leading yourself first. Okay, so mindset. Now, within mindset, okay, we want to do something really quick. So first thing, so many people, so I'm just going to give you quick tidbits about that topic. As I said, every topic has accompanying animated video. If you're interested, you can go and take a look at it. Now, past success, right? That's also very, really important because many people think, oh, I haven't achieved anything in life. I bet you all of you have achieved amazing things in life. Okay, let me give you a simple example. Learning to walk, right? Did you know how to learn to walk day one of your life in this world? How many times, just ask your parents or take a look at like, some new infant, right? How many times they fall? Maybe they cry, maybe they laugh, they get up and then they try again, right? They probably try, I don't know, hundreds of times before they can walk properly. So okay, that's one example. Second thing, learning to read or write, learning to use computer, right? Learning to speak a new language. I don't know what's the average vocabulary for an adult, but learning all these new words. Okay. The second thing is, look, we talked about this last time, actually, the concept of failures, right? So again, there's accompanying video here, right? Where I call it escalator metaphor. What happens is that sometimes, in life, something doesn't go plan, and we call it failure, but it's not a failure, it's learning, it's a result, it's a step up. So for example, like imagine you are on an escalator, right? So I use that from a relationship perspective. Let's say, you lose a loved one or someone goes through a divorce or something like that happens, right? So it's kind of like, it's not just all just to waste. That relationship, that resource, that experience grew you. It took you from step 1 to step 2. You're on level 1. Now it took you to level 2. Now you have to leave the escalator and move on. But yes, there's some pain in leaving that relationship or the escalator, but don't forget that the escalator, you being on that escalator together, it lifted you, it elevated you. Okay, so that's something to think about. Don't let the failures, put you down. The third thing, again, mindset. Sorry, internal validation. So the people that you surround yourself with. Okay, look at this amazing cat. Where's my cat? Oh, she's not here. Maybe I should have actually brought her. Okay, so let's just use the fake cat. So look at how she's looking at herself or himself in the mirror and looking as a tiger, right? So how do you actually view yourself? Do you view yourself as like a weak person who can't do anything? Or do you see yourself, your future self, and think that, hey, I'll be able to achieve, inshallah? And finally, external validation, right? So surround yourself. So that was internal, right? How you view yourself. And this is external. Surround yourself with the right people who will encourage you, will not, put you down, will encourage you to keep trying. And don't forget, right, that to evaluate yourself from the lens of Quran. Because people can say, oh, you're amazing, you're that, but Allah knows who you are. So evaluate yourself from the lens of Quran. Okay, strategy and ideas is so much things you can do, right? So once you have a goal, most likely someone has worked on it. So go read about it, go look at the interviews, go look at the podcast, network people who have done similar things. Use meetup.com. I don't know if that's the latest and greatest for meeting people, because they have groups for every type of topics. Use the Libby app for learning and reading books or listening to audiobooks for free. We talked about it last week as well. Know your Islamic history. Right? So that will tell you that, because sometimes people think, oh, Islam is bringing me down. No, Islam is empowering you. You can achieve a lot with your Islamic identity as well. Take a look at Max Gala, take a look at Yakin's Confident Muslim, take a look at website like DARPA, TechCrunch, The Intercept, see what other countries are doing. I have also prepared another document here, self-development and growth plan. So it has a lot of these resources and links to a lot of podcasts. So like a huge amount of resources, right? So something for you to think about, inshallah. Other ways of strategies and ideas, go to university, colleges. There's something called like auditing courses, right? So many universities actually allow you, inshallah. Now, I don't know what the restrictions are with COVID, you can actually go and attend a university course in person without actually paying for it. Or maybe if you're already in university, you want to explore a different subject, like, a totally different subject, you can go in that class and attend it, talk to the professor, or, check out your university or college auditing policy, and you can go and audit a course. So you can learn a different topic, which may not be a part of your main major. Okay, take a look at, MOOC, right? Massive open online courses. Like, so you have Coursera, you have Udemy, you have a lot of these other places. So make sure if you have a topic you want to learn about, you have access to amazing content from wherever you are in the world. Okay, getting a mentor or a coach, right? Group coaching, mastermind. So that is one of the things to keep you accountable, right? Find a buddy, find an accountability partner where you are meeting regularly and, keeping each other accountable for. It could be daily, it could be weekly, it could be monthly, right? Something we talked about last week is like, masterminds. So perhaps, if some of you are interested, I'll be happy to launch a mastermind with people who would actually, fill the worksheet. And then we can have these follow-ups where we see, okay, what the goal was, what was the progress, what were the challenges. And when you come into a challenge, you discuss that challenge as a group. And maybe somebody else may have an idea of, hey, you know what, you could do this to solve this challenge or to overcome this challenge. So that's one way of, having accountability. Another thing is to volunteer, right? Because volunteering gives you a lot of experience. Maybe you volunteer for this organization that tells you about, food bank. You work for this another organization that tells you about dawah, right? But choose your team wisely that will really utilize your skills, will be professional, will actually help you grow as well. So part of that is like writing down your 5-year, annual, and quarterly goals, inshallah. Okay, so second thing is sabr. I know I'm going fast. So which is execution, right? And this is really important, guys. The concept of discipline. There's a great book. It's called Discipline is Freedom. You can read that book as well. And that's what it's talking about, right? I mean, Islam teaches us that discipline, right? You have to wake up, you have to do these things, you don't have to do these things, stay away from this, control your thoughts, control what you see, control what you hear. These are all part of discipline and sabr, right? Is to keep trying, keep persevering, right? And now here is this thing of what I talked about earlier, right? Some people would just think like, oh, I'm in a university, like me being on a conveyor belt. I'm not going to take charge of my life. I just let the university figure it out. It doesn't happen like that. So get out of your comfort zone. Okay. So here's the thing. So you want to plan daily, weekly, quarterly. So you should have a plan perhaps tonight of what you want to do tomorrow, or that would be ideal. Or if you don't want to do that, then at least when you wake up, at least plan your day. Okay. And then every Sunday, let's say, or Saturday, you want to plan the next week. And then every quarter, you should take some time out for yourself and then reflect on the last quarter, like the last 90 days, the last 3 months, and so on and so forth. So plan, act, review the results, change the strategy, change the plan if you have to, and keeps repeating. Okay, this is another thing about accountability, right? Going back to that question. So you should have this daily accountability, right? With your own self or with an accountability partner or a coach or a group coaching, whatever, weekly and quarterly. Okay, surround yourself with the right people. Now, surrounding does not only mean physically, right? Surrounding also means what content you're consuming on your device. Because if you're consuming garbage or things that will keep distracting you on TikTok, Instagram, Snap, YouTube, so that will also impact you as well. Another way of accountability is this. Okay, so what happens is basically, I'm sure you guys are familiar with the concept of, important and urgent, right? Important but not urgent, urgent but not important, and so on and so forth. So you have these 4 quadrants. So a lot of time the struggle comes in on things that are important, but they don't seem urgent. So, right. So for example, reading your daily portion of Quran or praying, let's say, Fajr in the masjid or whatever, right? Small thing. It's important, but you don't seem urgent because you always say, hey, I'm going to do it tomorrow. So they don't seem urgent. So what you can do to make it urgent is to create, extra consequences. So for example, hey, if I don't work out 3 times a week, or if I don't read my daily portion of the Quran, or if I don't, go to masjid for such and such salah, or if I don't read my, 10 pages of, personal development or science, or, if I don't write 10 pages of my assignment, then I will pay $5 or $10 or whatever. So you are creating that extra pain point for yourself that would create a real sense of urgency. So I challenge you, anything you want to do, if you want to tie it to your to financials, right? You can always make it more painful, and that would help you create that habit. The second thing could be, I know there's a hand raised, just give me one moment. The second way of doing that is to turn it into pleasure, right? So instead of you having consequences, you can reward yourself. If I write 10 pages of my assignment, then I'll reward myself with, XYZ. And that kind of goes back to one thing that's going to come up, and we talked about it last week, which was Pomodoro Technique, right? Where you work for 25 minutes, you focus, and then you take a 5 minutes break. And on that is also to take care of your body, eat well, exercise well, power of habits, right? So this is another thing I use. Just an app called Habit Share app, right? So you can create some habits and then you can share it with your buddy or with your coach, or even just buddy, right? And then as you check on, they'll see a message. As they check on, you'll see a message. And then you can see, okay, this week I missed it X number of times, and so on and so forth. I highly recommend taking a look at a book called Atomic Habits. We mentioned that last week as well. So you can see some of these examples, like I was working with some new Muslims and some other people, and then, they would just do these type of check-ins every day. There are some tools that we are listing for task management, Microsoft To-Dos, another thing is like Asana or Trello, or like you probably know Monday.com. And this is something we talked about, right? Whenever you're trying to do something, keep in mind, is it urgent and important? Is it urgent but not important? An example of urgent but not important is what Instagram and Snaps do, right? The story would only be there for 24 hours. So it's like craziest thing, I have to see it. You don't have to see people's story, but you just feel that, okay, I'll miss out, right? The fear of missing out. Sometimes you forget that, hey, it seems urgent, but it's not important. So why am I wasting my time on that? And I think the most important thing are things that don't seem urgent, but are very important. And that's what we talked about earlier, to create some consequences of that so that you create that, external urgency. We talked about a lot of these tools last week, use your calendar app, block time. Don't just say, I will do this thing today. Actually put down the time. When will you do it? I will exercise. Okay, when? Put down the time, block it. Another way of like join a class, get a trainer, join a group class. So that will create that external accountability as well. So always block time for your habits or your goals as well. Again, Pomodoro Technique, we just talked about it. Hey, if you want to find out time, here's a great tool. I still use it. It's called Toggle. You can create different blocks, right? Different projects, school, work, Hive, whatever projects you're on, and just monitor your time. It's like quick play pause, right? So you can then see at the end of the day, at the end of the week, how did your time go? Where did it go? Phew. Okay, divine assistance, guys, super important. Like, don't forget to make dua. Don't forget to avoid sins. These are super, super important. Remember, you can't do it alone. Seek help with salah and dhikr and sabr and private worship, and use your superpower, which is Quran. Reflect on the verses of Quran. Safety first, right? Don't take risks that will destroy you. Be away from sins, be away from destructive desires, be away from getting yourself, confused in the deen. And also think about the path to failure, right? What happens if you don't take care of your life? What would happen, and so on and so forth. Okay, so I think this kind of covers it. There are additional resources that are there. I just want to quickly show you the worksheet before so this is a worksheet. Highly recommend you take a look at it and block some time this weekend, okay? So that you go out to a coffee shop or your room or your balcony or a park or whatever, and actually fill this out. So what are you up to these days? Okay, again, all these questions that came up, these are going to come up now, right? It will give you the chance to actually go through the workshop, okay? And then, so this sheet is, for example, for financials, right? So financial has a certain questionnaire, right? What does success look like? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What's going to be your strategies, right? Then you have like a sheet for family goals. You don't have to fill all the sheet. You can fill the sheets that you really care about. Financials, you have family, you have contribution. Okay, this is about naming your organization, right? Naming your company, naming your employee, and so on and so forth. Typical schedule. So again, a lot of these things is basically what will help you actually, get there. And look, alternate path, right? This is something. Imagine if you don't change yourself, if you don't take action, and nothing happens. What would a miserable life look like in 5 years, right? Maybe you've gained like 50 pounds of weight. Maybe you're just like doing a basic job. You haven't learned anything. Maybe your relationships haven't improved. So write those things down, because that will help you from the fear side. So there's a pull and push, right? And again, you have the resources here. Boom. All right. So let me see if I can answer 1 or 2 questions. I do have to like step out for Aisha, but people who are around and can hang in, you guys can potentially work together on the sheet as well. Let me take maybe 1 question and then I'll head out.
I believe Hannah had a question. Okay, procrastination. We have a question about procrastination.
Yeah, so I think if you follow these steps, it will really help you, right? So if you think about like, why are you procrastinating? Maybe you don't like the task, right? Or maybe like it's like, okay, whatever, right? You're not excited about it. But if you see something at the end of it, that if I block it down into small chunks, right? Okay, I just have to focus for 25 minutes on whatever task am I doing, which is boring, right? Okay, I have to write an essay. I'll just focus on it for 25 minutes and then I'll get to work on something that is exciting. So make sure you have that. So what ends up happening, let's say you have a morning from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m., right? Now you may procrastinate for 4 hours. Had you planned that, okay, I will just, I'll do something that I enjoy. From 8 to 8:30, I will do something that I enjoy. Then 8:30 to 9, I will do something that I don't enjoy. Okay, because I have to get it done. You have already written it down. By the end of today, I have to do these 10 things. Maybe 5 or 6 of them will be something that you like. 2 or 3 would be something that you don't like. So you want to tie the things that you don't like with why you are doing it. What's that end goal? Maybe because of a degree, because it will help me with XYZ, right? So you tie it like that. And then you also say, okay, when I get this done, then I get to work on this exciting thing. So I hope that helps. Guys, look, I'm inshallah committed. If a few of you or actually get serious, you actually work on this sheet, and then you want us to have like, as we discussed, like a once a month mastermind or what have you, reach out to the team. And, if we have enough interest and committed people, inshallah, we'll be able to facilitate something. With this, I have to go, and I really appreciate again the team and all of you to join in. Hey, this is just a start. I'm happy to collaborate further and, to learn and grow and develop together. Thank you so much. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik. Nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. So just for everyone, I'm here right now. Thank you again, Brother Zubair. Inshallah, we will see you soon. I'm here to answer any questions, and we have discussion as well. Brother Mason's here as well. He's a team lead of Brother Manhood. But anyways, let's get some questions going. So we have a question: how to balance humility and being overly self-confident to stay in accordance with Islam? Brother Mason, do you have any thoughts on that? Sorry, we have trouble hearing you. Really, tell me that to stay humble and not to be overconfident with yourself is number 1 key is that you want to be thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the success that you're doing. You always want to be remember that success is not independently by you, but it's from a bigger, it's from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you will know that when you're exerting overtly amount of confidence, overly amount of narcissism and exaggeration. So definitely just be humble and ensure you have you're letting everyone know that all success belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's the one who granted me. I'm just working hard in this world.
And brother, I apologize. It wouldn't let me unmute. But what did you ask me, brother? My internet was just being a little spotty.
No problem. Yeah, we were asking that the question is how to balance humility and being overly self-confident to stay in accordance with Islam, because we feel we might be exerting too much, we might be showing off too much, and we don't want to do that, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, I think you gave a beautiful answer, brother. I don't think I would say it too much different. I would just add that part of loving Allah's creation is loving yourself, and loving your potential for growth, inshallah. So be content with where you're at, be content with the abilities you presently have, and then show that gratitude to Allah even further by developing those natural strengths that you have, or developing new strengths, inshallah, and really showing Allah that you value the gift of time that He's given, the gift of strength, however limited we as human beings possess it, and develop yourself, inshallah. But don't down yourself, right? Don't be like, oh, I'm bad at this, I'll never be good at this, because that's disrespecting Allah's qadr, that's disrespecting the way He made you. So that would just be my addition. And I know Brother Ubaid's raising hands.
Yeah, Brother Ubaid, go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum, everybody. I would just add that to not be overly confident, I basically make dua for everybody, and I only compete with myself. So whenever I think that I should have this type of job, or I should have this type of grade, I make dua for everybody that everyone gets this type of job or in this type of grade, and this way I don't feel proud for myself, or I don't like belittle other people. We all win at the same time.
Great. No, great observation. Go ahead, Hamna.
I think that a huge part of not being arrogant is focusing on the first pillar that Coach Zubair mentioned, which was your niyyah. If you are trying to be successful for the sake of you being successful, you will always slip into arrogance. But if you are orienting your goal around something like furthering the ummah and helping people, you can never really go wrong with that, because that's why you're so excited to do well. But if you orient it around yourself, then that's definitely going to lead you into arrogance, because when you reach those goals, you're going to think really highly of yourself. And something Sheikh Usta always says is, when you feel yourself getting too arrogant, put yourself down a couple notches. He says that sometimes he even suggests people go clean washrooms in the masjid, because he says that you really need to, when you're feeling really high, you need to put yourself in situations you would never put yourself in. And you have to put yourself in the position of the people that you are looking down upon, because you need to realize that what they're doing is not difficult either. I mean, it's not easy, it's also difficult. But so I think the biggest thing is consistently refreshing your niyyah and consistently reminding yourself and being honest about why you're doing what you're doing.
Great answer, definitely. All right, I'm just going through the chat. Aisha asked, are there any weekly sessions with Brother Zubair? We don't have any weekly sessions with Brother Zubair, but we look forward to having, maybe we can set up something if there's enough interest. Inshallah, we'll look into that. Brother Mason, go ahead. Brother Mason, go ahead. I think he's frozen right now.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Yeah, subhanAllah, my $200 Best Buy on sale computer I bought 4 years ago is not holding up, surprisingly. But a brother asked in the chat to talk a little bit about Muslim manhood, which is just it's a kind of a brand, an organization, if you will, a group of brothers, honestly, who come together, to create a community of people who are trying to become higher achieving Muslim men, more faithful to their deen, more faithful to each other, growing as better brothers for each other, growing as Muslimin, which is the most urgent, of course, and the most rewardable return on investment kind of work that you can put in. And so what does Muslim Manhood do? We organize sports tournaments, we do hikes, we do Islamic education, right? We've got our own couple classes with the I3